Hello! This week I'm going to be using my skull mould again, but unlike last week I'm going to be making a sweet as sugar skull. So I'm carrying on with my Halloween 2024 videos, and I have this mould, it's a comic skull. I've just mixed up some aquacast. I don't know how much it's going to take, and I've just eyeballed this because I was mixing something else up. I've got a few lumps in there, so I'm just going to... It's probably dried aquacast from when I mixed up a moment ago. So I'm going to fill this mould with my aquacast. Okay, I've got a micro brush. Just run around. There's a lot of right angle edges in here. Try and release the bubbles. And then I'm just going to leave this now to cure. Should take about 60 minutes or so. Alright, it's time to demould my skull. He's about... Oop, his eyes are stuck. About a 1/4 inch thick, I suppose. Lovely, I've got no bubbles, that's really good. So I'm going to leave this to dry thoroughly now, because I want to put some resin in the eyes and the nose and give him some decoration with some pens, and we'll see how I go from there. I just need to sand the back of this, it's pretty rough. So I have a little bit of sandpaper here, it's wet dry paper, and I'm just going to pop some water on it. And then I will sand the back of this. There we go. That didn't take very long. Now I have a nice smooth surface. So again, this is going to have to dry now before I can move on to the next step with this. Okay, so my skull is now dry. And I've sanded the back so it's nice and flat, but it's pretty rough. When I say it's rough, it's kind of porous. And I would like to stick some bezel tape on the back so that I can fill the eyes and the nose with some resin. And the tape does not like to stick to it very well. So I've got some acrylic varnish here. And I am going to, if I can get the lid off, because I've glued it on. Got it. I'm going to cover this surface with a layer of the acrylic varnish, and that should give me a nice smooth surface. Oops, I did not want to do that. A nice smooth surface that the bezel tape should stick to pretty well. So I'm just, again, using my fingers. I prefer to use my fingers rather than tools. And this washes off so well, so okay, that's a nice layer on there, so I will let that dry. That might even be enough. It looks like it's all covered, and I will let that dry, and then hopefully it will make it so much easier for the bezel tape to stick, and I'll get a better bond. So this is the back, and I have varnished it. So I have some bezel tape here, and I'm hoping that I can get that to stick. Oh yes, that covers all. So I just need to make sure that I don't have, that's sticking really well as well. I don't want any lumps there. Okay, make sure that all around is well stuck. Cut that off. Okay, now I've got, just put my gloves back on again. I've got a small amount of resin there, which a little bit left over from the previous pour, and I'm going to use the black mica Arteza again. May only be enough to do one of the eyes. It's a very small amount of resin, so a little bit of mica in there. And I can mix that around. Almost there. Yeah, I'm probably going to need to use all of this. So I will be mixing up some more resin for another project anyway, so I'll fill in the other eye in exactly the same way with some black once I've got some more resin mixed up. There we go. Right, let's see how much I can get out of here to fill up the other eye. If not, I'll mix some more and then I'll fill that too, and I'll be back once these are cured. Right, so my black resin is finished and I've filled the nose with some UV resin, some red UV resin, and while I had some of that left over, I created some little teardrop shaped gems using this mould. And now I just have an assortment of other things. I've got some crystal gems here. This is I can't say it. It's crystals, AB crystals on a ribbon with a self-adhesive back. And I got that from Amazon, so I'll put the links, if I can find it, in the description box below. And these are beads, flower beads, and this was a brad that I just cut the little legs off the back, and I've put some glitter on that. So I'm going to decorate this now to make it basically like a sugar skull. So I need to put some resin back in the eyes, and I can set the flowers in the eyes. That's what you often find. And then the crystals, I thought I would put those perhaps along the top here, like an eyebrow. Oops. Yeah, they're going to be fiddly. Okay, so maybe some around here. Anyway, I'm going to decorate it up, so let me get some gloves on and then I can fill the resin. I'm thinking I might actually just use epoxy resin rather than UV, because these are solid and it's not going to be easy to cure it, and as I've got black resin, I can't cure it from below either. So let me get set up, mix up my resin, and I can pour these. I'll let those set. I think I'm going to use a 4-hour resin. No, I'm not. Ignore that. So let me go mix up my resin and I can get ready to set the flowers in the eyes. Back in a minute. Okay, so I've mixed up some craft resin and I am going to, it's a bit bubbly at the moment, but it will settle down. So I'm just going to pour some into my eye. Get a layer in there. And then I can start to set my little beads in there. Now they do have a hole in them, so I am going to dip them into the resin first. I don't know that that makes any difference really, but I'm trying to eliminate as many bubbles as I can. That's all right. Be a bit careful. Last one. Okay. I'll sort those out in a minute. Let me put some resin in the other eye. Oops. Yeah, knew I was going to do that. Okay. Just dip my finger in there. I don't think I did. Alright, so this has got some glitter on it. And again, it's got a little bit of a dome underneath, so let's see if I can. Encourage any bubbles that are forming to get off there. Yeah, that's better. Okay. I'll just add some more into there. They're quite heavy beads, so I think they will stay at the bottom. But you never know. So I am going to leave a little bit of room that I can top it up if I need to. Okay. Just get my lighter. Right, just going to run a flame over there, see if I can help pop some of the bubbles. I've managed to get a bit of glitter in there, which I didn't really want. Try and scoop that out in a minute. Now, the good thing about Aquacast is that it is quite flame retardant. I mean, I wouldn't recommend setting it on fire, but yeah, it can cope with this. Alright, so in order not to be sticking my fingers, I'm just going to top that up actually. Hang on, whoops. Yeah, so that I don't end up sticking my fingers in the resin, which I know I will if I try to put these on. I'm going to wait for that to be cured before I start to decorate the rest of the skull. So I will be back once this has cured. Right, so I've still got some resin left over, so I'm just going to put some in another pot, just a little bit, and I will add some of this lemon yellow alcohol ink from Sigwon. I think I got that from, I don't know if it was Amazon or Temu, but I'll put a couple of drops in there and then mix that in. And then I can use this mould to make some more gems, which I may or may not use, I don't know, but at least I've got the option. So I'm just using the end of my micro brush stick just to drop the resin into the little cavities. Oops. Don't want to fill them up too much because you end up with a rounded back, which makes them very difficult to stick down if that's what you're going to use them for. I'll just keep dropping the drops in until I've got it as high as I want it. As I say, try and make it as flat to the back as you can if you're going to stick these down to something. Okay. I don't know how many of those I'm going to do, but I am just going to carry on filling these in, and then I'll find something else to do with the rest of the resin. Okay, this is set now, and that's what I've got. I've got a couple of bits of glitter in there. Unavoidable, I think. That stuff gets absolutely everywhere. So here is the little yellow gems that I poured. I'm just going to pop those out. And then it's a case of doing a little bit of arranging. I want to do some drawing on here with some pens, probably acrylic pens. I'm not terribly confident in my freehand drawing, so I think what I want to do is give this a top coat of a varnish, just to make sure it's nice and smooth, and then if I make a mistake with a pen, hopefully I can wipe it off and you know, it won't leave a mark on the aquacast. So this is just some acrylic varnish that I've watered down slightly. Got a slight mark there, don't know what that's from, but let's see if I can perhaps file it off. Oh, I am going to cover it up actually with, yeah, it's coming off anyway, but I am going to cover that up with the red gems, the teardrop gems. Move these out of the way. Just got all my bits there. So this stuff dries pretty quickly, so I'm just going to give it a probably one coat. I think that'll be enough. Just a light coat over the top. Let it dry. I can wipe that off there, and then that should make it easier for me to remove any mistakes that I might make with the pens without it staining the aquacast. Not planning on making mistakes, but you never know. Right, where's that little... Okay, so I'll just leave that now to dry, probably be about 15 minutes or so, and then I can start organising my gems, and then I'll know what space I've got to do any decorating. Okay, I had to make some more of these because I totally lost the other ones that I had, and I've also added a little bit more varnish on top of there. So now I'm just going to use some of this glue, this B7000 glue, and hopefully stick these pieces all in place. So let's have a go. Put a tiny blob there. Better do it one at a time. Now I need to try and find some of these that are fairly flat, because they've domed a little bit on the back. I don't want to put too much glue down and have it all squidge out. That's probably good. Oop. Is that squidgy? Yeah, that's a squidgy one. Okay. Do you know what? These don't feel like they've set. That's weird. Can you see that? They're like a jelly. How strange. Well, I better hook that off quick. That one is fine. We find ones that are not squishy. That one's okay. If you know me, you know I end up using my hands all the time. So okay, find non-squishy ones. These appear to be alright. How bizarre. Oops. So I want 5 here. Odd numbers always looks better. And one more. Okay, oops, that's sticking out the edges there. See if I can get that cleaned up a little bit. Okay, let's take that off and clean that up a bit. That's why the varnish is always a good idea. Try that again. Okay, so find out why those are squidgy and weed those out. Right, so I will do the same with the other eyebrow. Ah, it's sticking to my fingers. That's the downside. Right, so that's the eyebrows done. So they need to completely set now. But while they are, I can put these little crystals, just some flat back gems, Had those for a very long time, so I can't tell you where I got them from. But they are usually available in craft stores, so oops. Okay, that's cute. Right, let's put the lid on this. So, as I say, these are sticky back gem ribbon, and if I can find the link for that, I will put that in the description box. So I've just cut some pieces off, and I'm just going to stick those in place. Get that off. And I have to say the glue on here is really good. I've had it on, I can't find it at the moment, but I did use it to decorate a little speaker, and that's been on there for several years now. There, that's cute. Right, so I'm going to let this glue dry now, and then I can do some pen work on there. So I'll be back when this is ready to do the next step. Okay, so these are all stuck and set now, and I forgot on one of my previous makes that when I used that glue on a flat back gem, it causes all the foil to wrinkle. So they kind of look slightly glittered now, which again is not a problem. That was on my hairspray hack turtle, and I'll leave the link for that up below. I mean, up above. So anyway, now that I've got this all set, I can use some acrylic painter markers, and I just want to add some decoration in some of this negative space. I think I want to use some black, which is risky because, as I say, I'm not confident in my freehand painting, but let's have a go. And I'm just going to do some doodling. The texture is still a little rough on this surface, so it's not the smoothest surface to draw on, but we'll see. Let's do some little curlicues. And again, some dots. It's whether I can do it the other way round is the issue. You know, I think less is more. I think I'm going to stop there before my luck runs out. I have some of these bales, and they are for gluing onto the back of a pendant, but I'm going to glue them onto the back of this here and here, And then when they're set, I'm going to put some wire there so that I can hang this up. So again, back to the trusty old B7000. Let's put some glue on here. And that one. And then try and slot that back together. And then I can just balance this on here and hope that that actually has enough glue on it to stick. Right, so I will come back in a little while to see whether that has actually stuck. In the meantime, this just needs to sit. See you later. Okay, I've got a wire here, and it was a ring binding wire for binding books, but I've just pulled it out, so you still get the little wrinkles and crinkles. And I'm just going to loop that through there and twist it round. It's reasonably soft wire, but I'm going to get some pliers just to make sure those ends are safe. I just want to loop that over. Right, let me get my pliers. Just got some round nose pliers here. And I'm just going to twist that around. And tuck that down. Same on that side. And twist that around. And just tuck that down. Come on, tuck down please. Right, there we go. So, that's it. That's really all I need to do. And I think I've got a sweet as sugar skull. And I'll show you some pictures of this when it's hung up. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and comment. Let me know how you would do this differently if you would. And please consider subscribing. Come back and see what I'm going to be doing next week. Thanks again. Bye.